Hello everyone, Storm here, and today we got another part to What If Dale Survived. This is part 6, which will finish up season 6 of The Walking Dead and also carry into season 7, so if you're not caught up, go do so by checking out the previous parts in the description and comment section. And with that, we're not going to waste any more time, we're just going to get straight into the video, so yeah, let's go. So the episode starts off by showing Daryl about to go up against some biker dudes before taking us back to where we were before. Rick and the others are walking through the walkers, but they would be stopped by a change of plans. Gabriel would be taking Judith to his church, and Jesse says to take Sam as well. Now Sam is going to refuse like he did in the show, but Dale reminds him to be brave but smart. He's still young and everyone is a lot safer if he goes with Gabriel. The boy finally agrees, and so Dale would leave with them as well. On top of this, Ron would try to convince his mother to go with Sam, but she says no as she wants to help with the plan. He eventually does manage to convince her in order to make sure that Sam is alright. The W guy, who is apparently named Owen, is with Martin and they're trying to get Denise and Gareth outside, and they would be trying to find a way out of Alexandria. It would quickly become dark and Rick's group was close to getting the cars that they needed for the plan. And there would be no Sam breakdown, which means that he and Jesse both survive, however not everything is going to be as good. You see, Ron had managed to convince his mother to leave with Sam, and so now he has the ample opportunity to pull his gun out to shoot Rick. Luckily, Michonne stabbed him before he could land the shot, making it hit Carl instead. The boy collapses and Rick picks him up and runs to Denise's place, and meanwhile, W and Martin decided to cut through some walkers, and so they told Gareth and Denise to run ahead. The two wolves would quickly follow, and Denise would be about to get bitten, however that's when Owen would save her. Because of this, he gets bitten himself, while Martin crosses the gap while pushing Gareth along as well. Denise would tell Owen that she could save him, however he needs to get her to the infirmary, but Martin had other plans. He tried to get out of there with Gareth, and so Denise and Owen were forced to leave. On their way back, Carol would shoot Owen as he saved Denise's life, showing that he had changed in the end, but of course now he's dead. Denise makes it to Carl and begins working to try and save his life, and Rick would then head out to take the walkers down, and everyone else would see this and help kill them as well. In the end, Carl gets saved, only losing his eye, Sam and Jesse are alive, and Martin escaped with Gareth. So now we're, kind of having a little bit of mystery on where they are. Anyway, the next episode would see Rick and Daryl meeting Jesus as they did originally. Now I know that Jesse is alive, but I don't think her and Rick are going to be together. Their whole dynamic has honestly been really weird and complicated, with him exiling her husband and her son trying to kill him, and of course now she has to deal with the deaths of both of them. So I think that she would decide that it's best if they don't pursue their relationship. She needs some time alone and she needs to focus on Sam, just try to get herself back in shape and all that. Rick is going to be saddened by this for a short time, but it does still give us Rochon, so I guess we're fine in that aspect. Going forward, Jesus would take part of the group to find his community. They'd look for and save Jesus's people, before then pulling up to the hilltop to trade. Here is when they would learn of the saviors, and of course the two randos would still attack, with Abraham and Rick taking them out. In the next episode, Rick would try to convince everyone that they're going to war with the Saviors, and both Dale and Morgan would be against just killing them before they can do anything. Rick is a little bit more understanding of that, considering that he is a bit more of a pacifist in this timeline, and so Glenn, Noah, Maggie, Gabriel, Tara, Heath, as well as some others would also agree, so they'd basically be forced to come up with a plan that differs. Instead, their plan is going to be to pin down the Saviors and force them to give up. Rick and some others would have their doubts about this plan, but they do their best. Abraham would now also drop Rosita because he likes Sasha now. So once the squad rolls out, Carol would stay behind with Maggie while the others pull up to the Saviors' base. They take the first two guys out by knocking them unconscious and dragging them away. The rest of the squad then rocks up and they're ready to kill, but that wouldn't be their first instinct. They would sneak around rather than killing people who were asleep, but some dude would eventually walk out of his room and try to fight, leading to him flipping the switch. Now everyone went into straight kill mode, and even Gabriel would get his first kill like he did in the show. Once the daytime came, Rick would hear a woman on a radio, and her group would take Carol and Maggie like in the original. That whole thing would go the exact same, with Carol and Maggie eventually killing them and making it back home as well. Morgan wouldn't be locked up by Rick since he thought it was fine that Morgan didn't kill the two wolves, and plus, they didn't end up killing anyone anyway, they only just took Gareth. Following up on that, Denise would head out with Daryl and Rosita. That would get her killed by Dwight, and then Eugene and Abraham would come with the save. Carol also undergoes her whole arc where she leaves, because she doesn't want to kill anybody anymore and she doesn't want to, lose anybody as well. and so she's forced to get out by a couple of dudes on the road, and she ends up having to kill them. Going back, Maggie and Enid wouldn't have to take up watch shifts, as Dale would be covering that, and so would Noah if Dale was, off doing his own thing. Rick and Morgan would pull up to find the dude who survived Carol's attack, and they would then split up, with Rick going back home while Morgan goes after Carol. After that, the group would then head out to go get help for Maggie from the hilltop. Here, Dale would go along with, since he knew that he had to be there for Maggie, and Jesse would also tell the old man that he needs to come back safely. He had been living with Jesse and Sam for a while, so yeah, they're kind of bonding. Morgan would also save Carol and meet the people from the kingdom, taking her there as well. On the road, the group would get stopped multiple times by the saviors, so Eugene would make the plan of driving the RV to get them to think that they're all there. Dale would offer to do it instead, as he wanted to make 100% sure that Maggie made it to the hilltop. The group would thank him profusely for that, especially Rick and Glenn, who had been there with him the whole time. Unfortunately, the group would still get surrounded by the saviors and would be forced to kneel. Dale would be there along with them, and so they'd all be terrified as they were in the original. And with that, Negan would show himself and give his whole speech. When he gets near Maggie, Glenn would jump out at him, and Dale would be horrified. He didn't want anyone to die, but the thought of Glenn and Maggie being dead might have been the worst for him. He'd known Glenn this whole time, and he's been the one giving him advice, and Maggie is Glenn's wife, and plus she's pregnant, so Dale would ask Negan why he was doing this, and he would respond that it's because he's the big dog, the big bear, and maybe even the lion. Nah, but seriously, he would say that he's the one on top, and that he could do whatever he pleases. He enjoyed having people to give things to him, and they were perfect for this. Plus, it's not like they're good people. I mean, they killed his men after all. Dale would tell him that Maggie was pregnant, and Negan would laugh, asking if he thought he cared at all. From there, the old man would be left speechless at this person, and so Negan would continue on deciding who would get the punishment. When Negan starts saying that he couldn't decide and begins walking around choosing at random, Dale tells him that it should be him. He's an old man, and he's ready to die if it means nobody else will. Glenn would be breaking down, and even Rick would look toward him in shock. Negan made his way back over to Dale and kneeled, leveled with the old man. He told him that it wasn't going to be him, as he thought that he was a little bit interesting. Someone who wanted to pick his brain, someone who he thought might appeal to some sort of humanity in him, someone who was ready to die, was not going to be the one to die. Dale would plead with Negan, but he would tell him no, and that if he hears him say it again, he'll kill him and a second person. Negan then chose at random, ending up on Abraham, and so, Abraham's going to die like he did in the show, with everyone being terrified, but Dale was honestly just surprised. Surprised that someone like this could really exist. He was cheering on the brutal murder he had just committed, and worst of all, he was seemingly unstoppable. When Negan began egging on Rosita, Daryl punched him like in the original. This led to him wanting to kill another, and so he would go for Glenn next. He then swung down on Glenn and would continue beating him to death. Both Maggie and Dale would be crying along with everyone else, and once he was finished, he would go over to Rick. Rick tells Negan that he was going to kill him, and so Negan would basically take him on the same RV ride as he did originally, just bullying him with the axe and the walkers, and then they'd return. Once back, Negan would force Rick to cut off Carl's arm, or he would kill everyone there. He begins counting down, and eventually Rick would be about to do it, but Negan would stop him. He is happy that Rick looked at him so fearfully, and so he took Daryl and left, letting everyone know that they needed to go back and provide for him, and that he'll see them again soon. Maggie would be telling Rick to get ready to fight, but they all tell her that that wouldn't work. Their goal is still to get her to the hilltop so she can survive. Meanwhile, we would get the same episode with Morgan and Carol at the kingdom, and that all ends up similarly as well. After that is the episode with Daryl at the Savior's base, and following, the remaining group returns home to Alexandria. Negan and the Saviors pull up early, leading to them all searching for the hidden guns. The main ringleader would want to see Dale, as he's still fascinated by the old man. He goes to where he's been living, which, like I said, was with Jesse and Sam. There, Negan would actually take a liking to Jesse, but of course she would resist. Dale asks what he wants, and he says that he wants to talk to him. Negan knows that he isn't going to fight or resist. It's just not in his blood. So he hopes that they can bury the hatchet. Or, the bat. As long as they work and provide and don't do anything wrong, he'd be down to have a friendly game of cards or something when he returns. He finishes by saying, "You like solitaire? Old people like solitaire." Dale refuses this and would tell him to just get the stuff he came for and leave. Negan is all fake sad about this and says that he'll come around eventually, before bidding Jesse and Sam farewell. After this, we would get a moment where Sam asks Dale why they don't fight back. And Dale is a bit conflicted at first, but he responds that they can't do anything. They've got more people, more guns, so the best thing that they can do now is just comply. Jesse also thanks Dale for sticking up for her again, and he'd say that she was welcome. After that, the Saviors take most everything and then head out afterward. The next few episodes also happen the same as well, so I'm just gonna skip over them without paying too much detail. Though I do think that once Tara returns to Alexandria, Dale and Noah would share a sad moment with her, since the two have been friends for a while, and they're all mourning the loss of Glenn as well. In the mid-season finale where Negan is in Alexandria, after he kills Spencer and nearly gets shot by Rosita, he'd be pretty mad. Along with Arat shooting Olivia and Negan taking Eugene for making the bullet, I think he'd want a bit of a bigger prize. He had his eye on Jessie last time he was here, and with how much trouble he's had to endure, he's gonna take her as well. Dale and Sam would both try to stop this, and Negan decides to take Sam also. It'll be much easier to get Jessie to comply with him if he can threaten her son. At this point, Dale becomes infuriated, asking for him to take him instead, but Negan would respond, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look, I like you, but you gotta admit, Dale, you would not make a very good wife." Once again, Dale is just, absolutely flabbergasted at how this dude was just making random jokes, and so he basically would just hug Sam, and Sam would begin to cry, and so Negan and the Saviors would dip after Rick and Aaron return. At this point, the group knows that they've got to fight back. Negan has gotten away with way too much, killed way too many. They've got to take a stand once and for all. Even Dale knows this. He goes and talks with Rick, letting him know that now is the time to put all that pacifist stuff aside. They can't afford to be docile at this point, and they have to take a stand. And so the main gang then heads to the hilltop to talk to Maggie, Sasha, and Enid, where they would find Daryl. He had escaped the Savior's base with Jesus, and now they were ready to begin preparing. And that is going to end part 6. We've done the second half of season 6 and the first half of season 7 in this video, so I think we've got a good place to leave off. Let me know what you guys think about how things are playing out with Negan, and what your predictions are for the rest of the season. And be sure to like the video as well if you want to see part 7. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.